Hey guys, Jack Flash here. Apologies for the delay in videos. I finally got that video editing software that I was talking about, so I've been able to start uploading again. So with this video, I'm going to be talking about these guys. I'll start by saying I'm a huge Muse fan, so this video may be a tad biased, but I'll try and be as objective as possible. The other day I was reading through my 1001 Songs You Must Hear Before You Die book, and I think there's a really great statement in there that sums Muse up excellently. It said, "Muse have made it okay to like prog rock again," and I think this is really what Muse have set out to achieve in their career so far. They've gone from strength to strength with every album, and I think it's rare for musicians of this caliber to break into the top charts, especially these days. I mean, since the birth of punk in the late 70s, it's sort of become uncool for rock music to achieve such intricacies in song structure. And I think for 20 years now, it's sort of been about playing it fast and loud with no more than 3 chords to a song. So in that sense, I congratulate Muse and Coldplay and Radiohead and some of the other bands for ushering in a new era of neo-progressive rock. So I'll move on to the concert. I was lucky enough to see them on both nights, so I can actually generate a bit of a comparison between the two. I saw them earlier on in the year at Big Day Out, and I have to say I was a little disappointed by the stagecraft, as I've been told by everyone that's seen them before as to how mind-blowing the visuals are at their concert. So I was a little disappointed when I saw that, but I think it was more a case of the festival restrictions than what Muse wanted themselves. So when I went to see them in December, my first thoughts were, okay, are they going to top this? I guess I can say my fears were allayed when I was confronted by these 3 gigantic monolithic structures bursting out of the ground that looks like something out of 2001: A Space Odyssey. So I was sure that it was going to be an excellent concert when I saw that. And I saw how much work had gone into the choreography, the lighting, and the sound. And I think it was definitely more than what I had expected in the case of what I had seen at Big Day Out. I think in a nutshell, everything you want out of a live gig is what Muse has to offer. When you see a band, you really don't want to hear exactly what you get on a record, and I think this is what Muse does so well. I mean, since their earliest performances, they've always included, improvised jam sessions between songs that contain, more often than not, guitar riffs from Rage Against the Machine songs, and I think this is a great way to pay homage to, again, another great live musical act. The set list I have to commend as well. There was a good balance between old and new songs, and I wasn't expecting to hear much of Origins of Symmetry, let alone Showbiz. Newborn was, I think, 3rd or 4th song through, and I was really surprised by the crowd reaction, actually. The fact that they were familiar with the old stuff. I mean, Muse didn't really reach their height of fame until 2006's Black Holes and Revelation. Matt Bellamy has really come out of his shell in regards to his onstage persona. He's a guy who wouldn't speak or engage the crowd on stage in early Muse gigs, and in the past this has always been left to Dom, who's sort of taken up the mantle. So I was pretty impressed to see him burst on stage wearing a metallic Mirror Man outfit, and he was swinging his guitar around like a madman. I think this, the way they were dressed and the stage really serves to show Muse's love affair with sci-fi and technology that's always sort of been second to their performances. So the first night I spent most of with my eyes closed, thrashing my skull to the music, so a lot of the stuff that was happening on stage I missed. But luckily, by the time the second night came around, my neck was in such a state that moving my head 1 inch to the left caused a sharp pain, so I was pretty much resigned to sitting and watching for the entire concert. So I think I'll leave the visual portion of this review to the second night. So amongst a night of absolute ecstasy, I'm forced to only pick out the very best parts. So there were a few things to note. The laser lights during Newborn, that song is a real gem on its own, but with that portion and the lasers I think it brought the song to a new level. Exogenesis, the Exogenesis Part 1 section of the trilogy that they played, it was like a space voyage accompanied by music. I liked that song, and I knew when I heard it on the record that if they played it live it was going to be absolutely fantastic, and thankfully they delivered. The eyeball balloons during Plug-in Baby were a really great addition. I think in a way it made that song even more bizarre than it is normally. There were plenty of people trying to grab them and take them home, but every time somebody got them they burst, which was quite interesting. I think my favourite part of the concert was when Matt used his guitar feedback and the silver finish that was all along the neck and the bass to reflect a light beam all around the arena, sort of like a police searchlight, which was really awesome, and it got everyone really super pumped. So I think I'll move on to the second night now. There was no noticeable difference in the quality of the second night. They were still very tight musically, which was great. But I'll actually talk about the visuals now. I think the main themes of the performance really revolved around human discovery, explanation, and interpretation of space, religion, politics, and conspiracy, which is definitely a hallmark of Muse performances in the past and current. All these ideas and concepts were being projected on the monoliths, the 3 monoliths on the stage, with the lighting and the stage effects that were complementing this. I think observing the visuals accompanying each song closely, it was almost like they were telling a story, maybe perhaps an alternate interpretation of the song meanings, and I think that shows the level of commitment that Muse have actually made to this performance, and the work that the team have put into the design and the ideas behind it. I mean, the visual portion was extremely reminiscent of Pink Floyd songs. They were visually very closely tied to the song content. I think it's commendable that a band stand behind the music rather than in front of it, and I think that's very similar to Pink Floyd in the same sense. It shows that their message is their music and it's not themselves. I wish more people would follow, their example these days instead of relying on what they do outside of the studio, instead of inside it for their publicity or their infamy. The one complaint I really have over the 2 nights was, apart from a few different songs, there wasn't much variety, and a lot of the performance remained largely the same, which I guess worked for them and against them. Because of the extremely demanding scripted onstage choreography, I think it prevented them from acting out on stage. Even the improvised jams were the exact same over both nights, and I think maybe they feared they might lose themselves in the vibe of the night and be out of sync with the rest of the performance, which was quite unfortunate. Okay, so I'm going to finish by saying that I hope that more bands follow Muse's examples instead of the likes of Kesha and Lady Gaga, who to me seem like they're only in it for the fame. I mean, the latter's album title even states this. So Muse are different. I'm sure like they'd still be happy even if they were making music to audiences of 12 blokes that came into the pub from work back in their hometown of Teignmouth in Devon. And I think that's why Muse are one of the premier bands of today. It's because they take fame in their stride, not as a right. So thanks again guys for watching my video, and I hope to have another one up soon.